Ooh, good glug.
I'll do this. You don't need to call for me. I got it.
Ooh, watch out.
Too much head.
Never enough. You know what? Hashtag Janine out of context. It's just gonna be like those Good Place Out of Context Twitter accounts. Have you seen those?
No, but I love that show.
It's great. It's just in fact, I think it's Good Place Out of Good Place Out of Context, but it'll just be a screenshot from the Good Place with the caption totally out of context. So it'll be like, but then people will retweet them on appropriate days. So it'll be like, fun fact, Christopher Columbus is in the bad place. And then it'll be like, or just random things. It's just hot ocean milk with dead bug croutons or something like that. Whatever it is.
That's the chowder one.
Yeah. Ugh. So, Janine.
Last week, huh?
How are you feeling?
My hangovers lasted a week.
How's your liver?
Do you think... wait, hold on. Let me rephrase that question. Do you think that your liver will ever bounce back?
It's bleeding like a cherry. That's for sure.
Ooh. Wait, now I just got another level on that. Damn. Well, I'm glad you're alive.
Thanks. Well, it's still the weekend.
Can I ask you what Monday morning was like? No. Let me ask you this.
Huh.
Listeners, here's what you don't know. After we stopped recording last week, we teased Janine some about how wasted he was. And he was like, yeah. So I'm going to Rogers Park Social. I'll see you guys. And then he went to a bar. How'd that go?
So you said, Aaron, I remember you saying, Aaron, you're to the point where they might not serve you. And I was like, no, I'm good. And I got there and they served me. Mm-hmm. But I sat down and my phone was dying. So I was charging it. And then I had a little bit of this beer. And then I was like, nope, this chair is too tough. And I left.
You know what?
By the chair.
You know what? Cheers. Been there. Been there. We've all been there.
If you're curious about Rogers Park Social, there's a video of us Julie and I, on our Facebook page, pretending to cry because they were out of Miller Lite. So that is how drunk you get at Rogers Park Social. You get drunk enough that you think a novelty video about being really sad that they're out of Miller Lite is a good idea.
You know what? I continue to be really sad because they decided to quit selling it. And I understand that because they have so many excellent beers that they want people to try. But you know what? Every fucking once in a while, all I want is a cold can of Miller Lite.
They switched to old style.
Barf.
Welcome to Podlander Drunk Cast and Outlander Podcast. I want you to know every week I just wait for somebody to say something funny enough that it's going to be great for me to jump in right after. And this week it was barf. Welcome to Podlander Drunk Cast and Outlander Podcast. I'm Allison Shoemaker.
I'm Julie Starbird.
And that's Janine.
Hey.
And some of us are more recovered than others from last week. But we are here this week to continue to drink just for you. And I want you all to know, despite the fact that you are directly contributing to the slow downfall of our lives, we love you anyway. And when we're all fucking dying of cirrhosis, we'll say it was worth it. Because all those ladies and some dudes and some people who identify at various non-conformative ways, all the people. And people who don't identify, people who need people.
People who need people.
Who need us to sit in their office.
And get through their day.
Writing their coupons.
Writing their TPS reports.
Doing their data entry. And what they really need is to hear us say, butthole. So, hey, this goes to you. Office workers currently listening to the podcast or people on their commute. I see you, Jen Moniz. You're commuting right now. To you, I say, butthole.
Anyway, that is in my top 5 favorite words. Butthole.
Butthole.
It's just fun to say.
I can't even fucking get the L out because it makes me laugh every time.
Oh my
you guys, we only had one beer.
But it was a doozy of an episode. So.
I mean, I'm still drunk from last week. So
yeah.
Well,
I was going to make that bounce back joke again, but I decided to let it lie.
No, never mind. Not even going to waste my time making an angry joke about it.
Okay.
I'm just not.
All right.
Fuck R. Kelly. That's all.
All right. So, Allison, let me ask you a question.
Yes, ask me a question.
Stars was really pushing this episode with a certain hashtag starting again. And as a non-book reader, I have no idea what that means. Did it mean anything to you?
Well, it means that they're starting again.
Okay.
And I have to say,
It seems
stars,
weird.
I get it, but like, stop trying to make hashtag starting again happen. It's not happening. It's not. I want you to know neither of these people laughed, and now we can't be friends anymore. I bet half of you laughed. I bet half of you knew what I was doing.
I don't understand.
It was a Mean Girls reference, you total doofuses.
Oh.
Boo, you whores.
Boo, you horse.
That's also a Mean Girls
I know
reference.
that one.
Anyway, Patty, I think it is really stupid.
Why didn't
Daphne, the STARS intern, if you're listening, listen, man, it's okay. You can go ahead and I have to get my elbows off the table. You can go ahead and make whatever hashtags you want. But hashtag print shop is one thing. That's like, particularly to everybody who's read the book, but really anybody who cares about Outlander has been aware that there was a print shop thing on the horizon for months.
Like, why wasn't this just hashtag Creme de Menthe? Why isn't it just the episode title?
It should be. It doesn't make any sense. Like, it would have been one thing if it was like hashtag Ian's first time. That would have been great. That would have been a spoiler.
Yeah.
If it could be like hashtag Team Fergus, fine. I'm all about that. But like
starting again, it just seems very vague.
Hashtag
and like,
trefening, I'd accept that.
Oh, God.
But hashtag starting again, it just, maybe they're going to make us use it next week too. That's the only thing I can think of. Because the episode isn't even really about them starting again.
No, it's not.
It's very confusing.
So let's dive right into it. We open the with the title card this time.
Wait, hold on. Let's start again.
Hashtag starting again.
Well, that was well done.
Yeah, that was good. Thanks. That was good.
Somebody at Stars should give you a fucking job.
So
Get on it,
the
Daphne.
title card is a whole bunch of dudes sloshing a whole bunch of buckets of water into this thing that looks like a trough that then you realize there's a pump on and a hose, and we're looking at an old-timey fire truck.
I want you to know at roughly minute 44, Julie goes, oh.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's why.
I should also say,
Because shit's on fire.
another thing that happens on this title card, something Outlander does really well, I want to say. And there are some great men who write and direct for this series. There are. But this is one of several episodes of Outlander over the past few years in which it is both written and directed by a woman. So cheers to Norma Bailey, who also directed last week's episode, and Karen Campbell, who is not Margaret Campbell.
I was going to
but
say
maybe
related.
They're both fortune tellers. Who knows?
Who knows? They do.
Nailed it.
I'm always right there for a psychic
Nailed
joke.
it.
Oh, man.
Is it last week that you did Janine's tarot cards?
No, it was 2 weeks
2 weeks
ago.
ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I was telling a friend about that, and she was like, well, how'd it go? And I was like, I was too drunk. I can't remember.
I seem to remember a prevalence of swords in your spread, which means difficulties at the time.
Well, that's why it felt so accurate.
Mostly difficulties processing alcohol within your body.
Yeah, you know, let's keep going.
Okay.
Drink up.
Drink up. So then immediately we're back in Jamie's room at Madame Jean. And we are where we left off, and there is Claire and the ruffian, and then she's just going to straight up get raped.
The ruffian, by the way, whose name is Barton. I think it's John Barton.
John Barton, it is.
Who is played by Ian Conningham. Not Cunningham.
Cunningham.
Who this week, to the two of you who also listened to Debating Doctor Who, was in the episode, one of the 2 episodes of Doctor Who I had to watch this week.
Wow.
He was in The Girl Who Died, which is the first Ashildr story. Anyway, in which he plays a totally decent guy who does not rape anyone and also does not get treffoned.
So, we're getting there, buddy.
Wait, because this is such a fun word.
He fucking comes at her. She pulls out her dagger. Allison was like, that's a cute dagger.
It was really cute. It looked like a teeny tiny sword.
It did, with like little curly cues on the handle. Anyway, he's like, oh, it was almost like he could have just said, kitten's got claws. Like that shit. And then she actually starts to fight with a knife. And
although I should tell you that she forgot everything Angus fucking taught her, and he is dead. She shamed his memory.
Well, she did remember a couple of things.
Okay,
and that's the fast like slashing movements as opposed to stabbing, like the slashing. She remembered that.
She did.
She was also under duress, and it had probably been about 20 years since she picked up a shiv.
Come on. If a guy who smelled like that
Which I can only assume means horrible.
Gave you a lesson in killing dudes with daggers. And then like 2 weeks later, maybe tops, you killed a dude with a dagger.
Yeah.
You remember that? I bet you would. Especially because you'd be really nervous about the lesson, which would burn it into your memory like a flashbulb memory, because you'd be very nervous because you'd be watched by your husband and his hot uncle who's really scary, who's constantly trying to make it with you, and a bunch of other dudes and several fine fat pigs.
I was thinking maybe she was going to wait until he actually tried to get on her and then just stab him in the kidney like she did originally. But she was...
Speaking of, she gets a couple of good slashes in.
She does get some good slashes in. And then he gets pushed back from her and he falls backwards. He trips and busts his head.
After he says, no, I'm not even going to fuck you. I'm just going to kill you.
And then she slashes at him. He's like, oh, backs up 2 steps, thwomp, head on the fireplace. Donk.
In fact, this is maybe the only time when it is useful to be recording in this sitting because it sounded like this.
Yeah. And me and Allison and Jen, who was watching with us, we all went, oh!
And I can see the blood go
out of his ear. Like, I totally thought he was dead.
And so did Claire.
At that moment, Jamie walks in and he's like, what? What happened? And she's like, oh, he tried to rape me. He came in here to get your ledgers. Something. And then all of a sudden, the guy at the fireplace goes, and it's like, I'm not dead. And so they have to go check it out. And that's when they turn his head over. And he's got blood running out of one ear. Claire, the doctor, is like, oh, he's got a subdural hematoma in his skull. I'm going to have to screw in there. I'm going to have to drill into his skull. And it's like, Jen and I both went, nope. I don't want to see that.
If you'll excuse me, I have to totally screw this guy.
Yeah, I have to screw with his head.
Jamie is not happy. This will be one of several situations in this episode, and I'm guessing in the one that follows, based on the next week, on the preview to come, in which one of the two of them does something, and the other one is like, really? God, I forgot this about you. Like, we had that amazing sex last night, but I forgot what a giant pain in the ass you are. And you know what? They're both totally justified in that thinking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's easy to forget because they're beautiful. Mm-hmm. Like, beautiful.
But they're both kind of buttholes.
Yeah, in fact, they are buttholes. I'm going to give it out at least once in the course of this episode.
Okay, so she's like, I have to help him because I'm a doctor. And Jamie's like, why don't you just let him die? He's obviously a bad guy. Just let him die. And she's like, that's not how I roll. So she goes.
Oh, they also discover he's an exciseman, which means he's a government employee.
And so he works for Sir Percival, which is the.
Did we call him BRD, backroom douche?
But it was something, I can't remember, but he's the government guy that's shaking Jamie down for the whiskey, like for the being able to bring the illegal whiskey in.
And I'm excited to talk about him.
He kind of does have a little Simon Cowell about him in this episode.
It honestly seems like they were like, fuck, we already cast Simon Cowell. Could somebody just find me the Simon Cowellist actor you possibly can? Yeah, can we get on that?
Yeah.
And they're like, okay. And they brought in like every 60s to 70s British dude who looks great in a wig and walks like he has a ramrod up his ass, who knows how to go, they could possibly find.
It was probably an easy cast because they already had those casting books and headshots already from the Cowell.
Yeah. No, I like to believe in my heart of hearts that they were starting to write that character and they were like, we don't need to hold auditions. Can you just find out if Simon Cowell is free?
And they were just like, come back in. We're going to do a prosthetic on your face. We're going to do something weird. Just make it slightly different from the Duke of Sandringham, but not too different.
Yeah. Here, we'll hide it. We'll put a mask on you. And then Simon Cowell was like, okay, it's a job. Okay, maybe. What? Tell me what I get to wear. And then they described the costumes and he was like, yes.
And then he went, wait a minute, hold on. Those coats.
Yeah.
And then everybody in the room laughed.
It was more like this. He went, wait, those coats?
Yeah. And then they all slapped each other on the back and got to filming.
Yeah.
Anyway, Patty. So Sir Percival hired this asshole that is now bleeding out on the fireplace. And you find out that he had been sent to Jamie's room to try and find some kind of proof of how much whiskey he was smuggling.
For evidence of his smuggling.
Because Sir Percival feels that he is not getting enough money to do. He feels like he's getting the raw deal. Obviously, he's not. Madame Jean is like, comes in and she's like, this could be a problem for my whorehouse, okay? Since all your whiskey is in my fucking basement and now there's this guy with a fucking subdural hematoma. I'm going to need you guys to clean this up.
Your wife here, that your mystery wife, then your mystery wife fucking almost kills a guy. Now she wants to put a hole in that dude's head, and she's ordering me around like I work for her. Is basically what it is.
But she also was slightly impressed.
Yeah,
she's like, I need a skull, I need a drill, and I need this and this and this. And Madame Jean's like, she knows what she's talking about. So,
well,
then we get a montage. Well, it's not really a montage, but a scene of all the guys hurriedly moving all of the whiskey casks out of Madame Jean's basement. And I'm all like, moving the casks out of the whorehouse like it's Tuesday. They're all just like, do, whistle while you work. They're all scared, of course. They need it. It's a time pressure situation.
And Ian's in there, and Ian says, well, also, shouldn't we be worried about the print shop? What if they go to the print shop? Turns out that Ian, pretty dumb in some ways, pretty smart in others.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one of the times he's pretty smart. And Jamie is like,
Nah.
What on earth could possibly happen there? Oh, I could be accused of a much worse crime that I definitely committed, and they could find ample evidence
with
of it.
Shit tons of proof.
That doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck it. Let's just sell this booze, get it out of the basement, and then we can go about our business.
Right. And then we flash to the apothecary where Claire has to go get the stuff for her old-timey surgery. And there's this very entitled old white man at the counter asking about things for his sister. And she tries to cut in front of him. She's like, it's an emergency. And he's like, so is my sister. And then there's this fight. And Claire just goes, hey, you know what? I'm a healer. I got some skills. If I promise to come and see your sister, can I just get in here and get my shit and get the fuck out of here? So he's like, all right. And then she steps up and she's like, I need laudanum, blah, di, do, ba, di. And she lists like 6 things. And the apothecary?
Yes.
Yeah, is all like, oh, damn. And then like turns around and goes and gets it. And then Archibald Campbell is like, all right, you seem to know what you're doing. My sister's name is Margaret Campbell. You can come to my house tomorrow and see my sister.
And because of my generosity in letting you go first, it's going to be free.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I'm not going to pay you for your
And
visit.
she's like, you don't even know
Whatever.
me. You don't understand me because like I haven't charged for anything in a zillion years. Ever. Except for then I got hot, rich doctor money. But before that, I would be like, what, you need your tooth pulled? That's fine.
No problem.
If you've got a fine fat pig to spare, I'll take it. But here, just give me the pliers.
And then we are treated to a moment of remembering who young Ian's mother is because he's trying to unload these whiskey casks on this guy.
Oh, yeah. Ian gets very excited. This is also not in the book. Ian gets very excited because Jamie was like, you and Fergus, you have to sell this shit as fast as you fucking can. Make like your goddamn Girl Scouts. Get rid of it now. Get rid of it now. If you have to take a loss, that's fine. Just get it gone. And they're like, me? Well, Fergus just is cool because he's fine.
He's like, whatever.
But Ian's like, really? I get the job? Me?
So it's Ian driving a bargain with some dude who's like, I'll give you 50 for it. And Ian's like, whoa, this is like fine French brandy. This is delicious. This is very high quality. And the guy's like, doesn't have the government stamp on it. So I am risking my butt by buying this. And then Ian's like, 75. The guy's like, 70. And then Ian's like, I'll give you 3 casks of Creme de Menthe in if you give me 75 total.
And then this dude, this day player, I should try to find out his fucking name because we owe him so much. He lays out our new show motto.
We're not a man to refuse liquor at no cost.
Oh, God damn.
Yeah. So for the reference, he says we're not a man
to refuse liquor at no cost.
Period. It says, we're not a man to refuse liquor at no cost. Even if it is creme de menthe. Who wants some cherry bounce?
God, no.
No.
Stop that.
This would be a point in the movie when it would be like, diddle, 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 to 2 hours from now, and Janine would be going, party, and sucking on the bottle of cherry bounce. Trying to lick the inside of it.
Oh, no.
I've run out. I'm on my way to the social.
Oh, Julie's moving into beer 3, guys.
Yeah. I gotta slow down.
Nope.
So then they have achieved their goal of selling off all the whiskey at a modest profit. Sorry, guys, I had to save my beer.
That was Julie going to the head of her beer because it poured real foamy.
Yeah,
I wasn't looking, and all I heard I love it.
So what do? Just what every dude would ever do. They take all that money, and they go to the bar.
But you know what? Strong ales for closers.
Yeah. So they sit down with their strong ales and they discuss, for some reason, Claire. Well, obviously, the whole situation that she got
they
started.
They discuss Claire back at the man who won't say no.
Right after he buys it, right?
Yeah, and young Ian understandably is like, "So, did you actually know her? Because she's like my mystery ghost aunt, and I have no idea who she is. Did you know her?" And Fergus is like, "Fuck yes, I knew her,
and she was a badass, but also don't fuck with her."
There were rumors that she took lives, and you're like, "No, she did. Oh yes, she absolutely did.
Yeah, she absolutely did."
This is a good episode for remembering that while they are hot and they have hot sex and they are fundamentally decent people, I would say, Claire and Jamie are also pretty fucked up. They
killers.
do some really shitty things. Among them, fucking murdering people.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad.
Which is not good.
Yeah, just don't murder people.
So then at the bar... no, that's just them talking about, this is before the bar. Bar doesn't happen yet.
Yes.
So they are talking about Claire, and then Fergus says a line that I really like about Claire and what the situation has become here. She's great, but I believe she's put us in a bit of a catastrophe. Which I was like, you know what? I need to start using that.
Just a bit of a catastrophe. I want to say something about César Domboy, I think is how it's pronounced. César Domboy. There's this, because I'm re-listening to the audiobooks right now, trying to refresh my memory. By the way, I want to thank everybody who reached out to me to personally remind me of an upcoming plot point that explains why Claire didn't come to the past with 97 packs of birth control. Thank you for reminding me. I feel stupid for forgetting. All will be explained. Anyway, Patty. So, César Domboy. I've been re-listening to the audiobooks to refresh myself. And there was a line, and I think it's in Drums of Autumn, near the beginning of Drums of Autumn, where Claire watches Fergus talking to someone who looks really surprised, and she can't figure out if the guy who's surprised is surprised because of Fergus's hand, which in the books is a hook and not a wooden hand. Or it's very piratey and hot.
Well, no, I just thought of Buster immediately. Like, I went straight Buster Blue. Of course, loose seal. Of course, Fergus is way more smooth, but
way more smooth. Mm-hmm. He took one look at the lady across the room and said, "She's a blurry area with points." It's my favorite Buster line. One of many, anyway. So she's trying to figure out if he's surprised because of the hook hand or because of Fergus's, quote, unique patois. Because Fergus has a French accent with like weird Scots thrown in. And
we'll he was a kid, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. So he's like, he grew up in France and then I'm assuming continued to speak French with Jamie because Jamie speaks French. So I'm sure they spoke French sometimes. But then also then continued to grow up in Scotland with a bunch of Scottish people. Mm-hmm. So it stands to reason that his accent would be pretty interesting. And sometimes he speaks in Gaelic and has like Scots turns of phrase, things like that. But I could hear it a little bit today.
I could too.
It was
I thought about
mostly French, and every once in a while he would sound a little bit Scottish. Mm-hmm. And I mean, first of all, he was very charming in this episode. I thought he did a really nice job. I can't wait to see him do more shit. Also, he's fine as hell. Mm-hmm. But that like, I'm going to have a little beer.
Yeah.
It is exaggeration, like but I really, really liked it. I think he's doing great.
That's
anyway.
Cool.
Okay, so then we get back to the whorehouse room where Dumpy McDumperton's laying on the bed bleeding out, and Claire reaches into her sweet ass pocket and pulls out her modern surgical
I'm in love
roll.
With this costume. Terry Dressbach, I fucking love this costume.
It's like her hand just disappears into the side of the skirt and pulls out.
It's a Mary Poppins bag.
Yeah, a leather roll filled with scalpels and scissors. And
I'm completely reminded of in The Name of the Wind with the cloak.
Yes, totally.
I think that's why I like this so much, because it's just like, well, that's a good story.
Yeah, totally. So she pulls out all of her surgical implements and starts to get ready to go to work on this dude who tried to rape her. And for Jamie, it's like, does not compute. I'll save it for spoilers.
And then knock, knock, knock. Holy shit, Jamie. Sir Percival's here. Get down here. And so Jamie has to leave the room because he has to go deal with the shakedown guy who's come to find the whiskey.
Part 2.
Yeah. And so he leaves the room and we follow him for a minute.
There's one important thing that happens as Claire is getting ready to perform surgery on this douchebag. It's really minor and won't seem major to you guys, but will be major to book readers. Claire needs Mr. Willoughby's help, and she calls him Etienne Chaw, not Mr. Willoughby. Which she calls him Mr. Willoughby throughout in the book. And I just really like that this woman takes the time to say his given name appropriately. Anyway, he also has a really good line in the cask scene. I'm very team this version. I'm team Etienne Chaw.
Team this version of that story as opposed to the book version.
Yes.
Yeah. It seems like everyone is very relieved. I like
that actor. He just looks so sad all the time. Anyway, so he's essentially being like her surgical nurse, is helping her with this dude.
So this is the first time he gets to see what a badass she is.
Yes.
So Jamie goes downstairs to deal with...
And when she says, hold his feet, Etienne Chaw, he goes, yes, honorable wife.
Yes. Honorable wife. Why didn't anybody ever call me that? So Jamie goes downstairs and all the casks are gone, except there's something over here with some liquid in it. And we see Sir Percival, and he's got a little toady with him that's got a blind eye. And Allison and I were both like, Mad Eye Moody. But then we decided that wasn't a good enough nickname. So we're going to call him Mad Eye Broody.
And I think you actually once called him Bad Eye Broody.
Bad Eye Broody.
Because it is a bad eye. It's not mad. It's bad. It's really bad.
Bad Eye Broody.
And that is a cool as hell contact, or that actor had a very bad experience.
I'm sure it's a contact.
Who knows? Maybe this guy it was his dream to become an actor, and he suffered some sort of accident, and occasionally he gets work where he's playing this kind of dude.
This guy. So Bad Eye Broody goes over to this thing where there's liquid. It's like mouth sounds for everybody. No, it's just water. And Madame Jean, quick as a whip, turns around and she goes, oh, yes, we have a leak. And I'm always forever. That's why I can't store anything down here. God, she's so fast. And they're like, all right, we'll get you next time, Fraser.
Oh, God, he has. Did you write down any of his little sick burns?
I wrote down the sick burn that Sir Percival had in this scene is, don't make me regret hiring you. To Bad Eye Broody.
It's just shade, and more shade. And he's nowhere near as funny as Duke of Sandringham or Simon Callow.
But I keep saying Cowell, but that's like somebody else.
Yes, that's a very different kind of Simon.
Yeah.
Another British Simon. Another Silver Fox.
Another shady queen.
Shady bitch. But very different.
Yeah. So I actually wrote down, don't make me regret hiring you, Percival to Bad Eye Broody. Very Duke of Sand. Just to remind myself that. And then we are treated to an extended scene of the good old days and what head surgery was like in that time.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Oh, shit.
Jen and I could barely watch. We were doing that thing. Like I had my notebook in front of my face and I'm like, nope.
On the other hand, I was leaning forward like this.
Oh, God.
Allison was actually being very kind. She's like, don't look, nope, don't look yet. No, don't look. Don't look at that.
So she, luckily he's bald. I was about to say she apparently shaves his head, and then I remembered he's bald. Very lucky. That's a requirement. They were like, we have to have somebody drill into your skull, so don't have hair or be willing to shave your head. And this guy, Ian Cunningham, was like, I got this. So she takes a Treffon. Yeah.
It's a head drill.
It's a head drill.
Yeah, one of these guys.
Oh my God.
Also, when she comes back in from buying the laudanum, he is awake and freaking the fuck out.
Oh, that's right.
And then she's all pissed at Jamie because Jamie's fucking with his head, and you can see his eyes rolling. I don't know if it was that actor doing that or if they made some sort of prosthetic or what, but his eyes were like rolling in his head. It was real gross. Anyway, she has Etienne Chaw helping her to hold him steady, and she's poured laudanum in his mouth, so he's out. And then she takes it, and the sound is like this. It
was awful.
But with like more of a...
like squishy crunches.
Yes. Squishy crunches is the most perfect way I can think of.
That's actually my new drag name. That's so weird. Crunches. The new Miss Chicago Miss Squishy Crunches.
But it was
you can
fucking
see it
gross.
Takes a lot.
She also
muscle.
they do a close up for her basically drilling the pilot hole, I guess, with the scalpel.
So first she slices and then has to hash this apart. And then, dude, the single grossest moment though is their and then they get to a point where there's like a little stuck. It's a little stuck, and she goes, and then it's.
See, I can barely even handle that right now, and I'm not even watching it.
Oh gosh!
And then
it's like.
Look what I wrote. The sounds.
Because they were watching. I want to say great effect.
Good Foley.
I'm assuming most of you watched the little bonus thingies at the end, but they took basically a full cast of the actor's upper body so that they could build something that Katrina could drill into. She took trephining lessons. I don't know how you take trephining lessons, but she took trephining lessons probably into a cantaloupe.
I'm hoping.
Right. Maybe a muskmelon. Maybe a mid-sized pumpkin.
Are cantaloupes and muskmelons the same thing?
Are they?
I don't know.
Are they?
We're going to have to look that up.
Does
Not now, though.
Know?
Somebody let us know on the Twitters.
I thought it was a mid-sized pumpkin.
And then I wrote the good old days. And then I wrote, somebody get me a bucket. And so she's successful.
Well, I mean, she's successful in relieving the pressure. You can tell because when she takes the thing up, blood is like foam. But it's like a slow trickle because Julie was confused why she didn't have blood on her shirt. Remember Brianna's shirt? And my response was, Claire knows a lot about blood.
Well, she does know where it's coming from and where it will spurt out of, I assume. But I mean, like, literally, she was knees deep in that guy's skull. Come on. There should have just been, like, just one little spot.
But it never went, bloop.
Just like right here. Bloop. Just one, bloop. Like, luckily, I mean, I get more on me when I'm eating nachos than she got when she was drilling into this guy's skull.
For just a second, I was like, how do you get blood on you while you're eating nachos? Like, what are you doing to your fingers?
No, just
do you have
things dropping on my shirt.
Are you like reaching into a pig and pulling out the meat, and that's why it's called pulled pork? Like,
no. Those chips are just really sharp.
Oh, damn. My gums just hurt.
The peppers are so hot that your tongue starts bleeding. Anyway.
And so Jamie comes back to the room after she's done this, and unfortunately, or fortunately, because he was a real shitbag, this guy died. And Claire is very sad.
She's very shaken.
Because she hasn't lost many patients.
And it is definitely not because she just trephined a dude, because even though I'm guessing she only knew how to do that because of like
history books.
Because there's not
medical history.
Maybe when she was a nurse, were they maybe still trephining?
They might have had to do that on the battleground.
Absolutely.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they wouldn't anymore.
Well,
they certainly relieve pressure from the brain, but not with a fucking trephin.
Well, in the 60s, I imagine that was still a thing.
Is it? We're gonna Google.
Look this up.
Maybe. Well, I mean, I'm gonna
have the power.
I'm gonna say that probably in World War II, she might have had to do it on the battleground. Or assist with it somehow.
I'm gonna Google this shit.
Also, maybe she had to do it when she was working with Madame Hildegard, or Sister Hildegard, or whatever. In the what ifs? Now we're conjecturing.
Hôpital des Anges. I cannot believe I fucking remembered that.
That's so awesome
and so cool.
So Jamie comes in. She's sad, and he says, "God made this decision, whatever." And Claire's like, I forgot to tell you, I'm a fucking atheist. Hey, papist, I'm an atheist.
She's not.
Well, she's like, God had nothing to do with this, which is fucking true because there is no God. Anyway, Patty.
Okay, so trephining, also known as trephination, or making a burr hole.
You know what burr hole sounds like? Butthole.
Butthole. I did it that time.
You did it?
Okay. Pre-modern Europe.
Okay, so
classical
maybe not.
And Renaissance periods, graveyards of pre-Christian. This custom suddenly disappears with the onset of the Christian era. Modern medical practices, the prefrontal luectomy. Luectomy, I don't know, a precursor to lobotomy, was performed by cutting a trephine hole in the skull, inserting instrument, and destroying parts of the brain, right? Trepanation is a treatment used for epidural and subdural hematomas.
That's this.
And for surgical access to certain other neurosurgical procedures. Modern surgeons generally use the term craniotomy for this procedure. The removed piece of skull is typically replaced as soon as possible. If the bone is not replaced, then the procedure is considered a craniectomy. Trepanation instruments are now available with diamond-coated rims, which are less traumatic than the classical treffins with sharp teeth.
No, shut your computer. Shut your computer.
They are smooth to soft tissues and cut only bone. So I guess we do treffin.
There's got to be, I mean, there has to be something.
Treffan.
Speaking of a drag name, Treffan. There has to be
Treffanation.
There has to be a modern equivalent because there are certain procedures where you do have to drill into a skull.
I think now you just take a screwdriver and go point,
sawzall.
A screw gun.
Okay, gross. So
you know what? Janine just showed us we're at 35 minutes, and I am totally fine with 5 of those minutes just being jokes about trepanation. I'm totally cool with that.
So Claire and Jamie kind of have a little fight about it, and Jamie sees that Claire feels bad about it, and he's trying to make her feel better, and then she's like, you know what? I've got another patient I got to go see.
Well, she also says, for the last 14 years of my life, this is what I've been dedicated to. I work really hard. I rarely lose a patient. Mm-hmm. And all doctors lose patients. But I believe her when she says she's really good because, man, she had a lot of very intense practice.
Mm-hmm. And then she's like, I got another patient. And then this is when we're treated to Margaret Campbell.
Well, Jamie is not happy about the other patient.
Right. Well, and
all of this matters because if there is one arc through this episode, it's Claire and Jamie constantly being like, oh, right.
Really?
I forgot that you kind of suck. So she's just going to go, in his mind, just going to go off in the city to people she doesn't know and not be around while he's in this crisis and more importantly, not be in a place that's safe. Although, in Claire's defense, he left her in a place that's safe and she almost got fucking raped. Although, in my defense, I think it's a little dumb that somebody would be like, well, 6 hours ago, somebody tried to rape me after I traveled through time, but no worries. I'm going to travel the city all by myself.
I'm just going to go walk down the street.
I'm just going to go. And to each their own. But like, I mean, without going into details, and no, nobody tried to rape me, but experienced a kind of traumatic thing a couple of weeks ago. And I still don't like walking to work by myself. Mm-hmm. I'm doing it, but I still don't. Mm-hmm. That said, I am a fucking wimp. So,
oh no,
it's true.
So that is interrupted by Ian and Fergus at the bar with their new dough.
I love this scene.
And it's Fergus and young Ian being dudes, hanging out. I mean, like real male friendship model here. They are adorable together. Ian obviously is the more naive, innocent of the two. I mean, Fergus was at one point raised in a whorehouse.
And they start by talking about Ian's surprising knack for business. And Fergus is kind of saying we should go into business together. Mm-hmm. It's very sweet.
And I'm like, it's not a surprise given who your mom is.
Yeah. Because if he's like, just like your Uncle Jamie. And he's like, haha, yeah. And I'm like, dude, just like your mom. You know for sure that at some point someone was like, hey, here I am selling seeds to plant on your farm. And she's like, you can give me 2 cents and I'll take them. And they're like, fine.
And they're like, oh, I don't know why. I don't know. And then they wander away.
You're kind so beautiful and intimidating.
They wander away kind of like, what just happened there?
Oh, well.
Okay.
But while Fergus is sort of talking to Ian about all this, Ian is very distracted.
By a hot barmaid.
Yeah. And Fergus is like, I see you staring at her all the time, man. And this is when he gets off several of the best little one-liners in Outlander history. We're talking those coats level. Yeah. We're talking what is fucking level. We're talking I closed my eyes and thought of England level, which I always forget and I think is basically perfect. 2 of them. He gets 2 of them. And this would be an appropriate point to tell you that while we're drinking a variety of things, one of the beers that we are drinking today is New Glarus. Well, I'm going to save it. It's a New Glarus beer, but we're going to tell you the name in just a second. So we're also drinking Empirical Brewery's Cold Fusion. Empirical Brewery.
Exploring the science of beer.
They're not even actually giving us beer right now. We're just still saying this shit because we love them. Although we haven't asked. We should probably ask.
Yeah, we should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, so Fergus decides. He also calls him brother, I should say. It's not just friendly, it's brotherly.
I forgot one thing, though. They start this entire conversation off with Ian asking if whiskey dick is a real thing or if whiskey really does make your dick harder.
If French brandy makes your cook stand harder.
And Fergus is like, I have found it to be the exact opposite. But if it's going to sell it, that's what I tell
whether
people.
Whether it's true isn't what matters.
Yeah.
It's whether they believe me that matters. And come on, look at me. Have you seen me? Of course they believe me. I am French as hell. So they get into the conversation, and then Fergus sees Ian is distracted and starts talking to him about this girl. Bridget, was her name Bridget?
I don't remember.
Something like that. It was a B name. Hot bitch. We'll call her Bridget. And Ian says, or Fergus is saying like, oh, well, why don't you talk to her? And he says, oh, well, I don't know what to do.
I don't do this. I don't know. And Fergus is like, all right, little brother, let me break it down for you.
So first, as they're talking about boning, Ian says, how old were you when you first laid with a lass? And Fergus says, 15. Ménage à trois. I was waiting for an oh shit, it didn't come.
And Ian is like...
Because my eyebrows mostly went up.
Ian is like, what's that?
He says, 2 women, 1 moi. So
The beer
this
we
is
were
when I
drinking
tell
earlier.
you, by complete coincidence, because I could never have seen this coming, Jen Moniz brought with her a 6-pack of New Glarus Brewing Company's delicious 2 women. And I swear to God, I'm going to take a picture, I'm going to put it on the internet, and that's going to mean it's true. That's a line from this week's Crazy Ex-Girlfriend birthday. It was on the internet. It must be true.
Mm-hmm.
So,
2 women.
2 women, 1 moi.
What an awesome fucking Fergus.
And then he says, it was a religious experience. He's fucking 15.
Jeez.
It's very charming.
We all 3 of us were like, pause it. And then we just died laughing.
Cackled for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
Yeah.
César
Boy. Good job.
2 women, 1 moi.
That's coming back.
It's the perfect
Forever.
level.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be saying, we need 2 beers, 1 moi. Forever.
Yeah, 1 wise.
What do we have to eat today? 2 dips, 1 moi.
Well, it's a callback to one of our other favorite jokes. Who has 2 thumbs and speaks limited French? This moi.
Yeah, this is my of all Julie. So Julie and I love 30 Rock, and at some point, if we haven't already done so, at some point in one of these episodes, you're just going to hear us go, "Oh, Rick,
I'm pretty sure we've probably already
and
done
it's
that.
it's every once in a while, like I'm going to guess
on.
every 4 months or so. Julie and I watch the exact same episode of 30 Rock just for this Tracy Morgan monologue. Anyway, but my favorite line from 30 Rock is, "Who's got 2 thumbs, speaks limited French, and hasn't cried once today? This moi." It makes me laugh every time, and you're totally right. That is
It's a
part of it.
callback.
Anyway,
It's good.
That's the first of 2 great lines he has in this shit.
So, and then the other one, then he talks him through, like, how do you talk to her? Like, first of all, look her deep in the eyes and tell her.
Give you the essentials.
You just tell her she's the most beautiful woman you've ever seen. And then ask her if she wants a drink and tell her you will get her whatever her heart desires. And then the most important one, step 3, repeat step 1 and 2 over and over and over again. And it's like, you know what, Fergus? You're right.
And it's good, like, comedy banter, too, because he, César, ton boy, is laying it down. And then John Brown,
The actor's name?
Barry. No, that's David Barry's. I'm thinking, I'm going to find
Was it not Barry?
No, it's John. Anyway, John Cutesy blonde her face. I don't know. John Bell.
Thank you, John Bell.
Goes, and then what comes next? He's like, very important. Repeat steps 1 and 2.
But he is 100% right. And then he reaches up his hand. The hot bitch comes over. Fergus, hat tip, takes his leave. And then the waitress is like, can I get you something? And Ian's like, no. And she's like, I really thought I saw your friend beckoning me over. And he's like, you're the most bonny lass in this place. And she goes,
Can I buy you a drink? Anything your heart desires. And his eyes are huge. And then she's a beautiful woman.
She's very hot.
Just looks at him, and some tiny part of her heart goes, look at this cute little thing.
Look at this thing.
And she's going to be able to train this bitch. And she plops her ass right down.
And she says,
whiskey.
It's a great cheered, and it was adorable.
It's a really great scene.
Now we're treated to some shittiness. Claire goes to the Campbell home to treat, what's her name? Margaret Campbell, who is obviously suffering from some sort of either mental illness or possible
neurological
disorder. We don't know. But her brother, Arthur, who's the worst, has been keeping her doped up because he can't deal with the fact that she has outbursts where he can't take her outside because she'll run up to somebody and touch them and say inappropriate things. And so it's, difficult for him. So he tries to keep her doped up, except for when he pimps her out as a psychic.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So he really is just the shit king of shit mountain. He stinks.
Fuck this guy.
He's the worst.
So really what he's trying to do is find drugs to keep her calm because they're about to get on a boat and go on a long trip. We don't find that out till the end of the scene. But then Claire sits down and this woman is obviously out of her gourd on some sort of laudanum style. He's been giving her laudanum, which is essentially opium, right? Isn't laudanum made out of opium?
Laudanum, is like early morphine. Addictive.
Oh, yeah.
Highly addictive.
Yeah. What's his name's wife? Tombstone. Come on. Wyatt Earp. Wyatt Earp's wife was a laudanum addict. Did you know that?
I did not.
The more you know.
Also, speaking of the more you know, just because I was looking up the name of the woman who plays Margaret Campbell, we'll get there. I also noticed the name of the guy who plays Mad-Eye Broody.
Bad-Eye Broody.
Bad-Eye Broody. The street name, Harry Tompkins. Anyway, the actor's name is Ian Reddington. He was very good. And he is very handsome. Look at him.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's
so
dashing.
Way to go. Great job, Outlander makeup team. You made him look skeezier than skeezy fucks.
Yeah, he looked real bad.
It's a technical term.
So Claire takes one look at this woman and knows.
Oh, he was also on Shameless.
Understands that there's something much deeper happening here. And she reaches out to take her hand. And then all fucking hell breaks loose. This woman starts screaming and looks Claire right in the eye. And she asks her things about, do you hear the tree toads screaming?
Do you hear the tree toads song? There's blood in the moon. And then she says,
Upon the way.
Upon the way. Upon the way. Upon the way. Upon the way. Be careful. And
then she drops out of it. Like it was a
when Claire
fugue.
takes her hand away. Mm-hmm. It's because you were right.
Touch
it's when
related.
She's touching her hands. This actress's name is Allison Pargeter, one of the two. And I thought she was great.
Yeah, she did.
Very spooky. Mm-hmm. But mostly you come out of it not being freaked out, but being really sad
for her.
Like this guy, he doesn't want things to calm her, which is that's the prescriptions that Claire gives him. They're both for
because he wants to be able to
tea.
use her to make money.
And
I know.
And he's really bothered when she's ill the rest of the time. He only wants her to be ill when it's convenient, basically, which in and of itself is an understandable feeling, but he's not interested in her getting better. He's just interested in keeping her docile. So his complaint is that she'll walk up to people on the street and grab their hand and tell them things that they don't want to know, which fair.
Yeah.
But maybe figure out a way to prevent that from happening that isn't keeping her in a fucking dead-eyed stupor all the time. And then the other thing is also he doesn't want her to get thrown overboard, which again, fair.
Would happen.
But the reason to do that...
Because they're about to go on a big boat trip.
Yes.
That's what comes out at the end.
Maybe don't bring her to the West Indies.
Mm-hmm.
And
we find out, though, that they've got a very wealthy client that is paying for them to come to the West Indies, and I'm sure that's coming back.
Je suis spoilée. We'll talk about it in the book section.
Okay, and then we are treated to an adorable scene.
Also, she says, no more laudanum. And he goes, yes. And you know perfectly well. He's just about to give her some fucking laudanum.
Yeah, he's lying. And then we flash to young Ian and hot Bridget in the print shop. And so here they are. Two young lovers. Well, one young lover. I can't really tell how old Bridget is, but she obviously has more experience.
Young.
She obviously has more experience in this realm than he does.
She's seasoned.
And they kiss for a while, and it's very cute.
Singing her a song, and she keeps saying, you can't sing, and he keeps singing anyway.
It's adorable.
Sweet.
And then she's like, let's go. And she goes over towards his cot, and then he just bends her over the cot and flips up her skirt. And she's like, whoa. And he's like, this is how the whores do it.
Isn't this how you do it?
I've been in the whorehouse and I've seen the whores do it this way. And she's like, oh, okay.
Oh, I don't want to go past one of her lines. Mm-hmm. Isn't this how you do it? And she says, didn't you say you work out of a kettle, Lucy? It's like, yeah, but I've seen the whores do it this way. And Julie kept saying, whores or horses? And then Jenna would go, horse. And Julie would go, but was that whores or horses?
And then I finally understood they were talking about the whorehouse.
But I think it's a really smart little callback because if you'll recall, when Jamie was learning how to do the sexify with Claire,
he did the same thing.
He was no, he didn't. But he did say he was surprised that you do it face to face
because he'd only seen horses do it
backwards, like horses. He can
rear entry, but not the butthole.
But the uncle
butthole.
but the uncle thought like horses. Mm-hmm. And the nephew thought like whores.
Asses. Which is funny.
Anyway, so she's like, well, no, I'm not a whore tonight, am I? And he says, no, you're the most beautiful guy.
And then he says to her the most,
after she takes his hands and just puts them on her boobs. And this John Bell, cheers. He gets this look on his face like he's died, gone to heaven, and then realized that all that heaven is two fluffy sacks of yellow fat.
Yeah, just those heavy boobs. And he looks at her and he says, tell me how you like it and I will do whatever you want. And we're all like, yay!
And like this, whatever you want. And she's just like,
you got it.
Great.
Lay down, bitch.
Lay down. And he's like, okay. It's great. It's great.
And then we flash
back rule, man,
to Claire and Jamie, and she comes back from visiting Margaret Campbell, and she says, "What happened to the guy?" And Jamie's like, "We put his dead body in a cask of Creme de Menthe." Title. And she's like, "But won't somebody drink that?" And he's like, "Nobody in Scotland drinks Creme de Menthe. We drink whiskey." Like somebody is.
Also, it'll be really well preserved.
Right.
Whoa. Can you imagine someday somebody's going to be like, I don't know, fucking flunchy. It's going to be like, you know what I would like to go with my haggis and my whatever this is, my strong ale.
My pottage.
My pottage.
You know what would really, really pair well with that? Creme de Menthe.
Right. And they're going to be like, okay, hold on. And they're going to tap the keg.
Tap it.
And it's going to be like, glug, 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 smell. and then just a piece of hair is going to come out.
Like a toenail.
No, a small, perfectly circular piece of skull. It's going to come out.
God damn it. Ugh. So they're having that discussion. And then Madame Jean shows up and says, hey, Jamie, Ian is here to see you. And here's Daddy. Oh, his hair is gray and long, but he's still the same charmer. He is very surprised to see Claire.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. So
here's
the thing I'm not going to say for the spoiler section because it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. In the books, in the books, there's something that was for you, Jenlander Drunklin.
Butthole.
You can't do it.
Butthole.
So in the books, the whole thing with Claire not having clothes, part of it's a result of them being, it's going to sound so dramatic, and it is. Part of it's the result of them being chased through the streets and somebody rips her dress.
Oh yeah, you told me about that. You mentioned that last week.
So then she can't get clothes, so she doesn't, and she can't get breakfast, and there's all of this chaos because this maid couldn't come in, which we'll talk about in the spoiler section. There's a reason for that. And so she goes down to have breakfast with the whores, and then the madam sends her back upstairs.
Woman secret.
Right, hashtag woman secret. But before Jamie leaves, Ian shows up and knocks on the door to come into the room and is shocked that he's in a brothel, like knew that he was that his business was unsavory, but didn't realize that he was living in a whorehouse. And is being a little judgy and concerned. And Claire is naked in bed, hiding under a sheet. And Jamie comes over to try to explain to Ian what's going on and just yanks the top of the sheet down just to her head. Just to her head.
Okay.
Don't worry. And she goes, hello. Been a long time, hasn't it? And then he doesn't immediately die of shock. So I actually think it's a very like, he's very happy, obviously, but it's a very like funny, jokey scene.
But it's also that
I think this is tonally way better, honestly.
I think there's something underlying it too, though, which is, why didn't you tell us? There's kind of like a weird, like he's happy to see her, but he's astounded. Like, where have you been? Where did you go?
Yes.
And they do the whole Boston blah, blah, blah lie. Well, not lie, but different time. And she says, I thought Jamie had died. And he just seems a little bit off about like, why wouldn't you have come and why wouldn't you come back?
Why didn't you come to us?
Right. He doesn't say that, but there's this undercurrent. Like, this actor is very good. There's this undercurrent of,
and his eyes are filled with tears.
I don't 100% pick up what you're putting down, but I'm just glad to see you. That's what it felt like to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he says, Jenny and I grieved you for many years.
Yeah.
And that's like
burn.
And in Claire's defense, Jamie might have said something other than, she's gone, don't ever talk to me about it again. Mm-hmm. He might have said just something. He might have said something. I sent her to France. I sent her to Boston. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Or he could have just said, she's dead and not she's gone. And then it would have been less, I don't know. Jamie's maybe not always the greatest at telling the truth about something.
He thinks he's right all the time.
He does think he's right all the time.
He's right most of the time.
We have this is a big deal. We have some things to add to the list of things that Jamie is bad at.
Mm-hmm. But one of those things is not saving somebody from a burning building. Because we're about to get there.
Yeah. So basically, Ian is there looking for his son.
Looking for young Ian. And we find out he runs away a lot.
Oh.
And before they even leave the room to go talk to Ian, Jamie says to Claire, oh, he's probably here looking for young Ian. Don't say you've seen him. She's like, what? Shitty. He says, well, I'll explain later. And then Jamie just says, no, I haven't seen him. I'm sure he's fine.
And Daddy Ian is all like, well, that's funny because every time he's ever run away before, he always ends up with you. And Jamie's like, nah, man, nah.
And continuing in Claire being not a very good liar, you can see, and Katrina Bethlehem does a great job. You could see her be like, what?
Come
really?
on.
And it's minor, but it's totally in her face. She's like, this guy. But and this will come up in a discussion they have later, but Jamie certainly has fathered children and has certainly played a part, albeit sort of covertly, in the raising of one of them, and obviously has a bunch of nieces and nephews he cares about a lot.
But he's never had to do the day in, day out
of parenting. Mm-hmm. So in some part of his brain, he must think this is no big deal. It's for such an empathetic character, it's actually a little bit weird. Callous. Yeah. And he does lie about it in the book, but the circumstances are different. Mm-hmm. Ian hadn't really been there for very long, and there was basically he didn't want Ian to be in the kind of trouble he might be in if they couldn't figure out the best way to bring it up to his parents and stuff. It's the situation's a lot more nuanced than that. And here it just feels a little bit like, well, I know what's best. And that's not what it is in the books. There's a touch of that, but it's other things too.
It did. In fact, this episode, until he runs into a burning building, I was kind of anti-Jamie this episode. I have to admit.
I was not anti that face, but I was a little bit anti that most of that behavior. I'm
anti his behavior and the way...
Even though some of it's understandable. He is absolutely right. Like in the conversation where Claire is like, well, I'm just going to try to save him. And then once he's well, you can bring him to the authorities. And Jamie has to be like, nah, dude, bitch. You need to remember that you're not in the fucking future anymore. If you say, oh, well, this man tried to rape me, they're going to go, you're a woman we don't know anything about who's living in a whorehouse.
A whorehouse. So.
And now this guy is dead. So it's not even he said, she said. It's she said, but fuck her. This guy is dead.
It's he said, whore said.
Whore said, I said. So he not wrong about everything he says. And also, Claire just maybe could have let Fergus go with her to the fucking dude's house.
Yeah, why not?
It's not that complicated. But he doesn't always handle it the best. And this scene in particular is the one where I'm like, man, what an asshole. And after Ian leaves to go try to find his son in a city where coincidentally his son is currently trapped in a burning building. We'll get there.
Well, not yet. Right now he's trapped inside Bridget.
Well, I'm assuming they're happening relatively concurrently because while they're having this fight is when they find out about. Anyway, so Ian leaves to go look for him and Claire looks on disapprovingly. And then we cut back to Bone Town.
And Ian is getting it hard from Bridget, who's riding him to Bone Town.
Heyo.
Yeah, and he is into it, and it is great. And then she hears a noise.
Zoe Barker.
Hi, Zoe Barker.
Very
good job.
Good, giving, and game, as they say.
Yeah, she stops, and she's like, did you hear that? And he's like, no, man, no, just keep going, come on. And then she starts again, and then you definitely hear a sound, and he's like, I heard that. And so they stand up and start, and they look through the window in the print shop, and they see Bad Eye Broody is there tossling through all of Jamie's shit, trying to find a cask of whiskey.
And he keeps turning his head in one direction or the other to try to see what's around him. and his hair is flapping in the wind.
What's the name of the actor, Brendan Gleeson, that plays Mad Eye Moody?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
Also,
he was very good.
That's Barty Crouch Jr. Never mind. I was going to try to find a way to bring David Tennant up again.
I mean, we'll take the time. I'm always down with the
David Tennant.
Young Ian goes to confront Bad Eye Broody.
Seriously, have you seen that hair? Okay,
I know,
he
looks very good. Young Ian goes to confront Bad Eye Broody, who can't find anything. He can't find any whiskey. And he's like, you're not going to find anything here. And then he starts fighting. Well, first of all, he tells the woman to get the fuck out. He's like, Bridget, I love you.
First thing.
Hope I see you soon.
Go out this door.
There's a door to the alleyway.
Don't turn back.
Run and do not look back.
GTFO, you beautiful, beautiful lass.
Thank you for what you did for me this evening. And then he goes in and confronts Bad Eye Broody. It does not go well. They get into a scuffle. At one point, Bad Eye Broody throws him up against a cabinet wall, and the door opens, and what's inside?
Oh,
seditious pamphlets.
Seditious magazines.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, oh, shit is right. So this is worse than bootlegging because this is treason.
God
right?
damn.
From someone who is already pardoned for treason.
Mm-hmm. So...
working under a secret identity. This is really bad all around. And I have to say, Jamie was all like, no, they're so well hidden. No one is going to ever find them.
They're in a cabinet.
No, they're in some sort of secret panel because Ian talks about it later.
Yeah.
But all apparently you have to do is throw one teenage boy with a halfie into the secret
it's the
panel.
halfie to put it over the edge.
Right. That was the extra weight. It was just that tiny, tiny bit of engorged appendage. And it just popped right open like a lass's dress. And then there are all of these seditious pamphlets.
So Bad Eye Broody's all like flipping through it. I'm very interested in your newsletter. This is going to go over real well with Sir Percival.
He shoves a bunch of them.
Bad news. He's shoving him into his coat.
No.
They scrub. And then let's talk about what happens next. Young Ian turns around and there's a stove with something boiling on it. First of all,
What the fuck?
why? I know Young Ian
Maybe
lives
Jordy's
there.
around.
Nope, Jordy quit. That's
Yeah, but-
very clear. Jordy does not
Jamie
work
was
here
going to
anymore.
go back and convince Jordy to come back.
But you know what it did to me though? It really did nothing to quell my normal, like I'm in the middle of my day somewhere in the loop when I go, did I leave the oven on? Has anyone ever had that moment where you're just like, holy shit, is my gas flooding my home right now?
Yes.
Because who left this
The hearth fire
situation
It
happening?
looks like maybe it's glue.
Maybe for the printing, but like seriously, it's a live fire.
Elbows, bitch.
Sorry, around a whole bunch of paper. Like paper, fire.
Everywhere.
bam.
Paper everywhere. Paper hanging from the ceiling. Paper in stacks in secret boner compartments. Like paper.
So young Ian turns around and grabs a ladle of whatever the glue is. You're right. I think it is glue.
Probably glue.
And throws it at Bad Eye Broody's face. Hits him in the good eye. Oh, no.
I think it hits him in the bad eye.
Whatever.
Because he doesn't immediately fall over and start yelling, I'm blind, I'm blind.
I got a touch of the dizzies.
Oh, second Arrested Development.
So they scrap. Fucking Bad Eye Broody escapes with a whole bunch of the zines. And then fucking the print shop catches on fire, like fast.
Like fast fire. And Ian is trying to stamp it out. And I was so worried because fucking everything they own is cloth.
And there's so much paper in there too.
Right? And she said, and they cut to a shot of just paper, just hanging from the ceiling, just paper everywhere. And Ian, I get that whatever room he was in, because he had to like open some sort of back door to let Bridget out. So I get that probably there isn't an exit, but he doesn't try to run through the flames and he doesn't break a window.
Yeah.
He like doesn't, he's just there panicking. And then we cut back to Claire and Jamie and they're having a fight where Claire is like, what the fuck are you doing? You're torturing your fucking family. What the hell is wrong with you? And he's like, but Frank. And it is a stupid, terrible
and
fight.
It's not just but Frank. It's also but Frank and Brianna Bikini. And it's like, you need to go away
Sit down
from my face right now. I don't care how fucking hot you are. You are on my last nerve.
Yeah, she's basically saying, so first, and actually, you know what?
We haven't mentioned all the people that have said to him, you haven't told her yet? This entire episode, too. That's
the
been
whole
happening
episode,
the whole
just
episode.
like last week. People keep being like, shouldn't you tell that wife of yours that secret?
This time we hear
what it is.
This time we actually hear the wife word, though.
No, but it's at the end.
Was
the
it
very
Ian?
last time. It's Fergus.
Oh, yeah, you're
at the
right.
very end. Anyway, so they're having this fight, and I have to say, it occurred to me just now that I think that this is really well written because of course Jamie feels incredibly guilty. Of course he does. So of course he would turn this argument into a chance to throw anything else he had so he doesn't have to feel like he's responsible for what's happening. So so the first thing is Claire's like, what, you don't understand what, you're killing your brother-in-law and sister right now. What are you doing? And he said, they're his parents. And he says, and I'm Brianna's father. And it's like, what? Okay. So I get that you're upset, but you sent her back. She wanted to stay. She wanted to stay and die with you. I don't remember if this is in the show or not. I think it is. Does she say something about wanting to find men's clothes so that she can go on the battlefield with him? Or is that just in the book?
I don't remember that, but
my
memory, like I said, is a cheese grater.
The only reason she agrees to go back is because he says, I'm going to die and you're pregnant with my child. You have to go back and save this baby because that way a part of me will live on. It's the only reason she agrees to go back. She doesn't care about her own life. I mean, like, you can tell from the way she behaves when she gets back, she would fucking rather be dead than not be with Jamie. So there's that. So first he's like,
what about lying? Why you lied, and she's like, you lied, and then she says white lies that don't
because she
somebody.
said, when did you start lying to your family? And he's like, well, you're forgetting that we lied our way through our whole lives together.
Through
she
Paris,
says white lies are different, and he goes, I didn't know there were shades of lies.
I didn't realize lies had shades, and my response was, that did though.
Very shady. And she's understandably like, well, but that's not, you're emotionally torturing your relatives for no good reason. And that's when he's like, yeah, well, I'm Brianna's father. And she's like, and then he starts pushing her about Frank. And she says, Frank Randall was a great father to Brianna, which he was. And we know that because we have watched the television show. It's like, oh yeah, I bet he was. Was he a great husband to you too? She's like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I was very fun. I cared for him deeply. I didn't love him after. I loved him before you.
Yes, because he says, I haven't fallen in love with anyone. Have you fallen in love with anyone?
And then he actually says, did you love Frank? And she's like, I cared for him very deeply and I did love him once before you, but you need to back the, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Also, pretty rich
he
coming
is
from a
freaking
guy who's still hiding a secret and we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Like, no. Then it's, oh, well, it seems like he must have been a great parent because of the fucking bikini photo.
Blow me.
Oh,
Jesus.
Blow me.
And she at the touch says, oh, it's all the girls wear them. It's a different time. And then he starts talking about her virtue. And at your point, like, oh my God, dude, remember that time you took an entire episode to learn you shouldn't beat your fucking wife? We're going to need you to fast forward to the point when you're not, like, she brought you a picture of your daughter looking happy and healthy. That is the only thing that fucking matters. It's the only thing that matters. And then she says, well, that's rich coming from someone living in a whorehouse, which fair point. fair fucking point. And then they are continuing to have this terrible argument.
And then, boom, somebody comes in, Madame Jean, and says, your print shop's on fire.
By the way,
damn.
randomly looks like she's wearing a retainer in this scene.
I didn't notice it.
I think she must just have really shiny teeth.
Or
and it was hitting.
donkey dentures.
No, I think it was shiny teeth. What? I forgot about the donkey dentures.
She's got donkey teeth.
Oh, elbows.
Sorry.
And then so they have to go running to the print shop, cut back to the print shop.
And it's on fucking
it's
fire.
On so much fire.
And Jamie,
it's so on fire, it's
like,
practically a Pitbull song.
Fireball.
Oh my god.
Oh, Julie, we missed our song joke.
Which one?
Wait,
we're going to bring it back. We're going to bring it back.
Okay.
Yes, we will bring it back. So let's just get through the episode first and we'll bring it back. So Jamie runs into the fucking on fire print shop because he's like, Ian's in there. And he runs in.
Throws his cloak over
looking
his face.
around through the fire and all the smoke, and he sees him over there. But he's on the upper level. And then he Errol
Ian is
flins
passed
it.
out on the floor.
Errol fucking flins it. He throws his scarf over his shoulder like Max Power and jumps down into the second floor, into the first floor, like whoosh, poof, lands.
And according to Matthew Roberts, or maybe Ron Moore, whoever at the end of the episode,
it was Matthew Roberts.
Matthew Roberts. Sam Huon did 90% of the stunts in this scene, and I guarantee you
that jump was not one of them.
Was the jump?
Yeah, he did not do that. He might have landed, and they filmed it. It was like Betty White and the Golden Girls when she did the dance sequence, and then came up, and it was the wig, but it was anyway, Patty. So he gathers him up and gets him out, and everybody's freaking out. But young Ian is alive.
So he has to push the printing press.
That's another thing where I was like, really? He has to push the entire printing press over so that he has a way to get out of the lower level. And it's like, this place is on fire. And he's like,
He does it.
No,
I mean, come on, we've seen those pecs. That dude has been lifting.
By the way,
He
our
also
informal Twitter poll says that those pecs are too much.
Yeah, he needs to calm that down.
I mean, there were some pec defenders.
Pec defender.
I mean, I would still hit it.
I mean, I would hit it too, but I would also be like maybe putting my hands over that general area.
Well, I'd be worried about my eyes.
What's nice though is that you can rest your nose in between them.
So anyway, Patty, he saves Ian.
Wait, I'll just leave this again.
Oh, and also I forgot to mention this. He runs around inside the print shop trying to save things, including a picture of Willie that he saves from a vase.
A picture
of his son.
So he gets Ian out, and the old-timey fire department is holding everybody back, and Claire is understandably losing her fucking mind.
And they've got their pump truck, which we saw at the beginning, and they're just tiny little stream of water with this huge building just on flames. And Jamie corners Atancha. How do you say his name?
E-Tia Cha.
E-T Cha.
I think. So it's Y space Tien space CHO. So
Cha.
E-Tia Cha. Yeah.
So Jamie gets him and says, hey, here's some money. You need to pay off our 2 lackeys, and you need to lay low for a while. You need to get out of the picture because the shit's about to come down.
Also, I think maybe book Easter egg for those who've read. One of them, their last name is Hayes, so I assume that's Archie Hayes, who will be important later. Or no, I guess it's Joseph Hayes. I don't remember. There's an Archie and there's somebody. Anyway, Hayes.
Is
Hayes.
there a Jughead?
No, but Hayes. There's a Hayes. And it's an important Hayes. And then followed by another important Hayes.
The episode ends with Fergus being like, so, have you told Claire?
Well, because Jamie says, Ian, after he his way back to life, his first words are not, but I never got to come. His first words are, although for all I know, that might have been round 2. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. We weren't there.
Let's hope Ian got one out. Anyway, he says, Uncle Jamie, so Claire needs to take some of that weed, put it in the pipe so he can smoke it. Anyway, he tells him that the guy took a bunch of the zines.
Yeah.
And then he was going to Sir Percival. And Jamie's like, well, fuck, we need to get the fuck out of town. We're going to go to another city. I don't remember what city it was, but I know it wasn't Aberdeen or Dundee.
Yeah, he was shady about Aberdeen
It was
and Dundee.
really funny. Comically overplayed. Was like, better than him being on the streets in some other city. Like Aberdeen
or Dundee. And we're like, what the fuck do you know about Aberdeen or Dundee?
I mean, probably a lot.
Probably, but I mean,
if those cities spoke a different
I was just
language, he
mad.
would speak that language.
I was
that's
just
how much
mad
it is.
at Jamie this entire
Me too.
episode. Mm-hmm.
And they didn't even get to have angry sex.
No.
Or makeup sex. Come on. Anyway, so he says oh shit, we got to get out. And Clara's like, yeah, we do. We have to take your nephew back to his parents. And he takes one look at her face and is like, fine.
You right.
I'm gonna, yeah, okay. We'll do that. So he goes to Fergus. It's like, well, here's, do this thing. And also find fucking Ned Gowan. You tell him to get the fuck to Lallybroch with news. And about the matter we discussed. And Fergus is like, okay, cool. But isn't that risky? Because like, your wife? Have you told her about your wife? He's like, no. And it's not anywhere near, I forget, I should know. There's the place where Jamie's wife lives.
It started with a B. Brigadoon.
Brigmorda. It's Brigmorda.
Yeah.
Is not anywhere near Lallybroch. Or no, it's whatever. Brachmorda is Lallybroch. It doesn't matter. Anyway, Patty. So, and Fergus is like, yeah, but dude,
you probably should have told her.
Let me give you some advice for what to do after you get back to Lallybroch. First, tell her she's the most beautiful woman you've ever seen. Second,
ask her if she wants a drink.
Third, let her punch you right in the balls.
Just right in the nuts.
Just let her, just get it over with.
2 punches and 1 moi.
What?
And that's our setup for next week. And then we get a next week on that is deeply stressful, including some more shit that's not in the books. So let's do our little scales.
Okay.
So that we can do, and our TGP, which I keep calling GVP.
But it is literally the golden pamplemousse TGP.
Yeah, TGP. Thanks again, Dr. J, Dr. Julie, teaching us fundamentals. So let's do our scales and our TGP. So let's talk about costuming. I'm tired of inventing scales. So let's just talk about
we'll just talk
rate
about it
for the costumes.
What
is it? It's all going to be Ken Burns baseball from now on. Better or worse than Ken Burns baseball?
Well, I mean,
I really like Ken Burns baseball.
I've actually never seen it, but I bet it's pretty good.
Ken Burns Civil War?
Yes, it is not as good as Ken Burns Civil War. It's probably between Prohibition and the national parks.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, I thought we got to see more of the bat suit, which I really like.
That pocket shot was hot.
But honestly,
it's not a costume heavy episode.
Quote unquote costume I remember best is the weird Game of Thrones moment with all the...
Yeah, they had a weird sexposition moment in the whorehouse where like...
And it wasn't technically sexposition because there wasn't any exposition happening.
But it was weird, like you got to see people fucking in the background. There was no reason for it.
And there was a lot of like, wow. And it was not fun.
And boobs. And it's like, who cares? Why?
I mean, it is a whorehouse.
But I mean,
no. I will say this. A lot, those women were varying ages and body types.
That
as opposed
is
to
very
Game of
true.
Thrones where they're all svelte.
That is 100% true.
So that's good. Anyway,
okay.
I agree. It was fine. But I love that bat suit.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Okay.
The pocket was really good because it's hidden.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And their makeup effects. But both the body double in front of the fire.
Yes.
And the fake trephining and the milky eye. All A+.
Those were all very good.
Yeah. Okay. Fucking.
Nothing.
No, there's not.
Oh, wait, young Ian. Oh.
Also.
It feels like the first time.
That wasn't what we were going to do, though.
It feels like the very first time.
We have a new song just for young Ian, and it goes a little something like this.
I just died in your arms tonight. It must have been something you can. I should have walked away. But you didn't. Instead, you got deep into Bridget. So that was pretty cute.
There was a fire.
Yeah.
I got smoke inhalation in your arms tonight.
So I will give that a slightly higher rating because it was very cute.
It was. And you know what? Everybody should be able to lose their virginity.
What's a movie about losing your virginity that's actually cute and not smarmy and gross?
The 40-Year-Old Virgin?
Okay, yes.
That's actually
there
really
you go. Perfect.
Yeah, funny, cute, a little bit sexy, but only a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's not about being sexy, but it's a little bit sexy. Mm-hmm. And he just looks like he's died and gone to heaven.
It's the best thing that's ever happened to him.
it's great. There are a lot of people out there with less than positive experiences losing their virginity, ranging from total horror stories in terms of like actual terrible shit and to like uncomfortable weirdness. But I hope that most people get experience where either they're deflowering someone or they're deflowering themselves. They're losing their virginity.
What about
at least one of the
deflowering?
Parties? Well, then everybody's just getting elbows in their eyes.
Not necessarily.
2 flowers and
yes,
one,
I forget.
I'm just saying. Mine was magical and a double deflowering.
That's wonderful. Mine was neither. But I didn't get an elbow in my eye.
That's good. That's good.
Anyway, I think there's something really charming about this kid just looking like it's the best day of his goddamn life.
That actor is very good, and I'm looking forward to more of him.
Very, very good. It was really fun. I agree. 40-year-old version is good. I would also go with like I Can't Hardly Wait. Like something teeny and fun.
But I would not go with American Pie because that's smarmy as hell.
Yeah, no, it's not American Pie.
I can't do that.
All right, and the last one, Getting Up to Get a Drink.
I didn't get up to get a drink, but we did pause several times, mostly because out of delight. One time to read the closed captioning when Margaret Campbell was having her fugue state.
And I'm not going to talk about this particular thing. So for book readers, it's because when she was saying a bend away, I assumed maybe it was some Gaelic word for banshee or something. So we put on the closed captions and then Jen looked it up and it's not. It's Abendawe. And I don't know that that's how it's pronounced, but that's how Davina Porter pronounces it in the audiobooks. So it's Abendawe, which is a significant thing later in the season. Anyway, I also I did get up to get a drink, but it was when we had paused it. Yeah. This isn't my favorite episode.
It's not,
but
it wasn't mine either.
But it's very tense. There's not really a place where you can be like, well, who cares?
It didn't feel like that. It just kind of felt like,
Seems like it was a good episode to like remind ourselves that these are not like
infallible characters.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it was really well done, but it wasn't the most fun to watch.
Yeah. Agreed.
I don't need that much reality in this thing.
I also truly need like 90% less skull drilling. That's true.
There's more gross stuff coming up. Sorry.
Great.
Sorry, bro. Wait till you get to the point when she uses maggots to debride tissue.
You know what?
Julie,
I get it. Is there going to be a leech bleeding somebody?
There are leeches, but they're not. Oh, no. Yep, there are leeches.
Great.
I was about to say there are leeches, but they're not being used medically. But that is not true. She does use leeches medically. Julie, it's okay. I'll just tell you when to not look again, and then I'll be sitting next to you going, nom, 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 nom.
Leeches are blood-sucking slugs. There's nothing worse.
Yeah, but sometimes you've got like a very serious leg wound and your leg is all swollen and filled with blood. And then, you know what might come in handy? Our friends, the leeches. But I would need you there to help me because the best way to get them to pop off is to cover them in salt. Anyway, I'll let you know when that is happening. So let's do our TGP. Julie, do you have one?
I'm going to say Young Ian.
John Bell?
Yeah, John Bell is my TGP. He was a delight to watch. The entire story of him running away all the time is very interesting to me because it seems like, why? So I'm excited to learn more about that. Yeah, that's mine.
I am tempted to pick Katrina Buff Mama because this is like, I mean, the zillionth episode in a row where she's been really great and we've never picked her. But I'm assuming I'm picking her next week just based on what's going to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and say John Bell too because he was so great and that scene between him and maybe I'll do a tie. Maybe César Tomboy and John Bell.
And two women, one moi.
Oh, I mean, two TGPs, one moi. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm going to do. I thought they were really great. So yeah, really good episode. At this moment, before we go into the spoiler section, in which I just... I'm going to try not to ruin things for Julie, but we got a lot of shit to talk about. And hey, book readers, I'll say this now. If you want to chat about it more, find me on Twitter. And honestly, my direct messages are open. You can send me a message because we should try to avoid spoiling things for people. I know a lot of you are marked as accounts that say Outlander spoilers, and that's fine. But I, as a person who writes about TV professionally, I can't just like throw spoilers in my thing. I can't. So send me a message. Anyway, at this point, I want to read our Patreons. Our Patreon patrons. As always, we want to thank those who are giving at our 2 highest reward levels. That is Yvonne Kaiser, Ann Gavin, Katie Kirshner, Amanda Newton, Beth Locke, Heather Moore, Ruth McCormick, Lyd, L-Y-D. It's uppercase L, lowercase y, uppercase D. Lyd. We're just going to say Lyd.
Lyd.
Trish McCrary, Kara Marlowe, Catherine Galindo, Kiki the Wise, who sent us an email this week. I'll show you after.
Oh, God, I forgot about her email account.
Yeah. Flourish Root.
Cool.
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
Cherry Bounce, bitch.
Cherry Bounce. Flourish Root, Molly Layton, Dr. J, T-Test Fundamentals, Friday Payton, Jen Lander Drunklin, and, of course, Kathleen Moniz. On this particular episode, because thank you so much, we got so many new patrons this month. I'm just this one time going to real fast read all of your names because you're just wonderful, and I can't. So we're going to be able to do some really cool things. And in fact, already had to pay for a bigger Libsyn account because we maxed out our storage this month.
Yeah,
and that's paying. We already bumped up once. So anyway, thanks to the rest of our Patreon patrons: Kristen Flannery, LM, Sarah Russell, Anna Pereira, Jessica Ruzick, Mary Frances Banner, Tori Bryan, Meredith Ottery, Laura Feldman, Sean Barrett, Jennifer Grebb, Becca Stamp, Jill Cardinal, Laura Dixon, Amanda Early, Keenan Caldwell, Dee Crawford, Jennifer Moniz, Savannah, Kelly Bodden, Rose Cardeal, Elizabeth Young, Alana Myers, the breastfeeding mom, Jenny Graves, Susanna Grinnell, Kate Gibson, Heather Johnson, Monique Arenas, Emily Ross, Helena, Erin Kruger, Liz Tarr, Claire White, Molly Mullen, and our friend Al Iverson. Who gives us $4 a month for no reward and has never heard the show. Yeah, Al Iverson, someday he's going to be bored. He's going to pick a random episode to listen to. It won't be this one, but this will be the one where we say thank you. So thank you to all of you. It's really, really great, and it's incredibly helpful, and we're going to keep finding cool things to do in return. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/podlandercast, on Twitter at podlandercast, on Instagram at my account, which we're using more now. We did a little Instagram live before the episode today. So maybe eventually I'll change my name to just being a Drunkcast name so we can use it for that purpose. But for right now, you can find me at Allison Shoe. You can also find me on Twitter at Allison Shoe, find Julie on Twitter at Julie Starby, and find Janine on Twitter at Pagel_Aaron. He loves all the things you send him, and I'm really glad that he is such a fan favorite.
I really will love everything.
The number of gifts we got about Janine being hammered, it's a high number.
Man, I'm actually, embarrassed about how drunk I was, but also bad to pride getting compared to Kristen Wiig in that movie.
Yeah. Hey, like I said, we all get 1 or 12. I'm already at like 8.
You can also ask Kiki the Wise, aka _poetry_corner, aka Kristen. You can also send us an email at podlanderdrunkcast@gmail.com. That's a great place to send questions, thoughts, meows if you're a deaf cat. I don't know if any of you could hear that, but Sophie just meowed. Or anything else you want to share. Or, get in my Twitter DMs when we talk about the book. So at this point, if you have not read the books, you should sign off. If you have, stay put. I'm going to pretend we're going to play Yakety Sax, but I don't want to make that work for Aaron.
You know we're going to play.
What?
I just died in your arms tonight. Must have been something you did.
I should have run away. I just changed it to run so that I could roll my R again. I should have run to the whorehouse. Anyway, here we go. Je suis spoilé. A term now being used by fucking BuzzFeed Australia.
What? You guys?
What?
I know.
There's another Daphne on there.
Yes.
It's like, I'm sure
it's a coincidence, but it does feel really weird.
It's because it's happening all of a sudden. It's really strange. Anyway, God, there's a lot of shit to talk about. So Archie Campbell in the books is a free church minister.
This is the brother of the psychic.
Yeah. And he is real judgy about ladies and not just an asshole. So that is a thing that's different. so in the fire in the print shop, before they realize young Ian is in there, because young Ian does not sleep in the print shop in the book, Jamie still rushes in to save his printing press. So he and some other people rush in to throw all of the pieces of his printing press out into the street.
See, that's actually what I thought they were going to do when you were talking about him pushing it.
It's kind of a bummer because that thing travels with them. I won't say where, but that thing eventually follows them on their travels so that they can keep using it. Yeah. Because Jamie had that whole speech about they put another weapon in my hand because he can't write really because he's left-handed and was forced to learn to write with his right hand, and then got his hand fucking beat to shit by Jack Randall. And it's just, there's a little nuance lost there. Yeah. It's a bummer.
I forgot about that piece too. That's
So that wasn't there. Also, the way, and it would have taken way too long. It's a really good cut because it would not have been cinematic. But the means by which Ian found out about the guy in the print shop is that he was sitting in a tavern. He was in a tavern for some reason. He was doing something. And he heard a guy asking questions about Alexander Malcolm or Jamie Fraser or Jamie Roy, which in the books is the name he goes by when he is smuggling. And no one is supposed to know all of those names. Jamie works really hard to keep print shops separate from smuggling, separate from his real name. All three different things. So Ian then follows him from tavern to tavern. And Neil is making a ruckus right now. What? It's a stramash. He's just stole our keg, our growler.
Well, that feels like a keg.
And he's dancing around. He thinks he's tiptoeing, but he's
You're not tiptoeing. It's like literally impossible for you to tiptoe in this apartment.
He's just like,
it's fine. It's the best show.
You guys, it's fine.
This is almost
everything's fine.
Yeah.
Neil, you bring that beer back in here. Oh my God. I wish you could see. Say hi, Neil.
Hello.
Look at this. You just got that stout.
So Ian sees this guy asking questions, so he decides he's going to follow him. And the guy who's looking for them, not an exciseman, by the way.
Not a government employee.
No, actually, I think that one might be. It's the other one who is. I don't
not
remember.
A Larry Gergich.
No, he's definitely not a Larry Gergich. He goes from tavern to tavern, tasting the brandy and tasting the whiskey and trying to figure out which places Jamie sells to. So Ian follows him to all these places.
So like he's a sommelier of judgment.
He's a sommel spy.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So Ian is following him, and every tavern he goes into, he goes in covertly, and he gets something to drink so he can justify being there and listening to him. And he keeps following him, and then all of a sudden, he's hammered. So then he sees he's in the print shop, and he follows him to the print shop. And I think it's that he hits him in the head with a lantern, something. But, oh no, he starts the fire on purpose because the guy is in there, and they definitely get in a fight, and he hits him with something. But the pamphlets are all there and he couldn't move them and people are coming. So Ian starts the fire to burn the pamphlets.
Okay.
And then gets stuck because he's sometimes kind of dumb and ends up on the roof, and then Ian shows up and they have to save him together. It's a whole thing. Anyway, he thinks that the guy who was looking for the pamphlets, he thinks that he killed him. So at the end of the hour, Ian is distraught because because he's hungover, and then there's a whole thing where he's just Ralphing in a bucket. Everybody's trying to be nice to him. They're feeding him bread and milk, right? Is it like Neil force feeding you bread that one time?
Oh my God, it's real.
So then he sends his dad. It doesn't matter. But I think that it's a bit of a loss to have a moment where Jamie actually gets to be kind of a good parent, and you realize that part of the reason that Ian wants to talk to Jamie and not his father is because he knows that Jamie has killed people and he assumes his father's not. Now, his father was also a soldier, which is how he lost his leg, so it's not a great assumption.
Right.
But it's very fraught.
And we know what Daddy Ian has done. We saw him kill Bono.
Oh, right. We saw him kill Bono. That doesn't happen in the book.
Still haven't found what I'm looking for.
Oh, man.
Was it on a Sunday, Bloody Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
Did you do this the first time?
Oh,
You
yeah.
must have.
Fuck
Okay.
yes, we did.
It was a real
I had a
beautiful day.
whole page of YouTube
You know
jokes.
what I have to say to you?
Tusk!
Anyway, I think it's a bit of a loss because the way that Ian does pop his fucking cherry in this episode, but the means by which he does this time is that Fergus acts like a whorehouse connoisseur and is like, that we should get him a woman. And he and Parmesan have a conversation where they're trying to figure out the best girl for Ian to go to bed with, and they both decide, the second Mary, the little one. Not the first Mary, the second Mary. And Ian is like, I don't know. And then Jamie finds out that Fergus has brought every other one of Ian and Jenny's kids, who's a dude, to Edinburgh to lose their virginity to a prostitute.
And that's just been his like side hustle. He's just like, this is fun for me.
No, it's what he does for his brothers.
Oh.
He brings them to the whorehouse and they have sex with the whore, and that's how to lose their virginity. So Ian is like, well, it's my turn. And Jamie's like, you're too young. He's like, I'm 15. And he's still wasted. And the second Mary comes in and his eyes go so round. And Jamie says something like, well, what am I going to tell your parents? And Ian turns around and goes, I don't know, uncle, but I would not tell them anything if I would, but I will not tell them anything if you don't. And then like goes off with the second Mary to lose his virginity after Jamie's like, by the way, you didn't murder that guy. You were defending yourself. And then that's whatever. So that is a bit of a missed opportunity. That is a big difference. Also, when they leave, it's not because the guy is the pamphlets, because the guy gets killed. It's because they're going to do a rendezvous with Jared Fraser's ships, which is how Jamie gets the French brandy in the country.
Ah, his cousin in Paris.
And
Yes.
then the excisemen show up because somebody snitched. So there's a whole stramash.
Who snitched?
And that's Anne, because maybe they don't snitch in here. Maybe they don't snitch. Maybe there's no snitch. There's no snitch.
My guess, Fergus.
He who smelt it.
Possibly dealt it.
That's quite a difference.
It's
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
That's
a
a big
really, this
difference.
is a long book
Yeah.
and they wanted to spend an entire episode on mostly boning. So I totally get it. But that's a big chunk of the book. And that happens on their way to Lallybroch, basically, where Jamie wants to bring her. Neil is again exaggeratedly pretending to be quiet. It's very distracting.
Welcome to my life.
So that's a big cut. And then also in the book, Claire doesn't kill that guy. He's still fucking with her, but he doesn't show up in the room. She bumps into him in like a stairwell and he's like, hey, well, how about this? I'll give you some money if you talk. And then maybe also I'll fuck you because you're obviously a prostitute, because she's running around in her nightgown. She's like, no, get off me, get off me. And there's a scuffle, but it is not nearly as I'm going to rape you and I'm going to kill you. Which there's another thing we should talk about, because there's
You were going to talk about the serial killer.
We'll get there too. But
Okay.
Terry Dressbach and Maureen Ryan had a really interesting conversation on Twitter this week about rape on Outlander. It was fascinating. Anyway, it's Mr. Willoughby / Etienne Chon who kills him because he's wasted and the dude is fucking with honorable wife.
Oh, yeah.
And he shoots him. And then he dies.
Etienne Chon.
Which is maybe not a great idea, but at the same time, honorable wife, dude threatening her. Gotta go.
Yeah.
And then they still hide him in a cask of creme de menthe. And there's a whole thing. The reason that Claire can't leave her room and has to go get breakfast with the prostitutes and then comes back up and has to deal with all that other shit and can't get clothes and everything's going to the dogs is because one of the people who works there, one of the maids who works there, had to call in sick because her sister got murdered by a serial killer. And then Claire hears this whole story about how there's a serial killer in Edinburgh called The Fiend.
She
who
said
has
this
killed,
today.
I think, 3 prostitutes and 1 nun. But only killing women. And it's a whole stramash. I'm just going to keep saying
That's the third time.
It's everybody
It's a
drink.
charm.
It's the new
It's
drink
a charm.
game.
Right up.
Stramash.
Oh, shit. There we go.
And I think all of these cuts, the changes between what happens with the Campbells, I think that's really smart. The fortune telling does not show up in this part of the book. So I guess I'm spoiling that Margaret and Archie Campbell are going to come back, but they do. And when they do, in at least some aspect, fortune telling is a part of it. And it's important. It's a climactic scene. And this woman is going to be great. But they're all really smart adaptive changes, but it does rob some of the nuance. And while I actually think it's really interesting that we're in a position to be a little bit pissed at, particularly at Jamie, but also a little bit at Claire, and that they're showing that Ian is a little bit upset and confused about whatever's happening with Claire. Again, totally understandable. There are some other things that I think are lacking a little. And I honestly wouldn't trade any of the scenes in this episode. I think individually they were all great.
But you specifically, when we were watching it, said that cutting the Fiend was probably really smart because it took out a whole bunch of
I think the smartest cut they made is cutting the thing with the smugglers.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's really cool, but they would have to shoot entirely in the dark, and it takes forever. And it ends with Ian trying to decide if he's going to stay and guard Claire for Jamie, or if he's going to go try to warn them that they're going to get jumped at their secondary hideout location. Mm-hmm. And they both decide he should go to the secondary hideout location and warn them, and he heads the wrong way down the road. Takes off right in the wrong direction. Anyway, I think that they're all really good changes. And that one in particular is really smart. Getting rid of the Fiend will dramatically change a plot point later in the season.
Okay.
Without going into detail, it will mean different things for a number of characters, and will make one scene probably cleaner because there's a point. Neil, are you okay? He's cool. We'll make those scenes a little more clean, but maybe also a little less scary.
Yeah.
I don't know. But honestly, the series has been mostly very faithful to the book. They've cut some things.
Or condensed a lot of things,
and they've
obviously.
Moved some things around. They've certainly added some things here and there, and there were some additions. All of that, 2 women, 1 moi. Straight show. That's all show.
Well done.
I really like the scene with Bridget. That's all
2 women,
the show.
1 moi.
So good.
Sir Percival, there's a whole ruse where Jamie thinks it couldn't possibly be him because he doesn't seem pissed, and then it turns out it is him, and there's no reason for it to be that complicated. So that's totally fine. Like, it all makes sense. But this is the first episode where I was like, this is really different. I see all of the reasons why this is going to be smart down the road. And I really do. It's going to make the rest of the season much simpler and much cleaner in some places. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I was like, this is just less thoughtful. In some places, more thoughtful, and in some places, less.
More thoughtful around Mr. Willoughby, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
By a mile.
Mm-hmm.
And it's by a mile. And I think turning... oh shit, Jamie has a wife and he kept it from Claire, into not, oh, you lied about this thing and that is a huge deal, but, oh, you lied about this thing and also we're discovering all of the ways in which we're different after having been apart for all these years, and all of the scars we hold for having been apart for all these years,
right,
is really smart. But it doesn't make for an uncomfortable hour.
Well, this episode, I mean, is only the second episode since they reunited. So they really jumped into that pretty quickly. Because that was what I felt about this episode from beginning to end, was the tension of them realizing I have my ideas. I have my ideas. And it was cool because it's not just like a romance novel where they fall into each other's arms and everything is beautiful. Instead it is, oh, well, we lived as people for 20 years and now we're together and fuck you.
I haven't spent all that much time on Twitter today. I would guess that there are a lot of book devotees that are not going to love this episode. And
it was not my favorite episode of the show.
I don't think it was particularly fun to watch, but the more I think about it, the smarter I think it is, particularly with some of the cuts, but also with the Claire and Jamie stuff.
It felt transitional. It felt like we're moving from one idea into another idea. And sometimes that shows that have that aspect are not as obvious. This one felt a little obviously transitional. So sometimes it wasn't fun, ? I don't know.
Which is okay.
That's fine. It doesn't have to be fun.
I want to say R.I.P. Printing Press, and I want to say R.I.P. Second Mary.
And then along comes Mary.
And then she is a prostitute who is smaller than the other prostitute named Mary.
Hey.
Now my empty cup is as sweet as the strong ale.
As sweet as the strong ale.
I really want to make this album. That'd be so fucking fun.
I want to know what book readers thought, so please send me messages because I'm very curious about what you think. And I'm excited about next week. It's going to be dramatic.
Oh, like dramatic in a good way or a dramatic where I'm like, come on, Patty. What do you think?
I think dramatic in a good way.
Okay.
I mean, Laura Donnelly's going to be in it.
Okay.
You're going to be
You know what?
salivating from moment 1 to moment
I am thrilled
42.
to see Jenny from the block again.
Yeah. Just come on. It's
Jenny
gonna
from
be-
the Lally
It's
Block,
going to be
I'm
really good. And also, Sam and Katrina are going to get to do some real good acting, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll see. The next episode is called First Wife.
Hashtag first wife.
No, it's probably hashtag the wedding ring of balls. I don't know. it'll be hashtag pitcher full of milk. No, next week it'll be hashtag creme de menthe. No, it won't be. No, that I don't actually know if that cask is going to come back, but I hope it does.
Did it come back in the books?
So I've always wondered. I think not, but there is a scene in the books. No, I can't actually say this without spoiling anything for you.
You can't tell me who's drinking it. You don't have to tell me who's drinking
Nobody
it.
drinks it. There is a scene in the books where a cask starts to smell bad and is brought up from the place it smells bad. That is what I will say.
Okay.
But at no point is it indicated that it is creme de menthe.
Okay.
So I have no idea.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude.
We were trying really hard to go 90 minutes and we're at 110.
We did not do that.
But that's all right.
It's just, you know what it makes time for? It makes time for one more thing before we leave. For you out there typing on your computer, or you, Jen Moniz, who's commuting, or also you, Julie, who's commuting.
Yeah. When I listen to it, I'm almost always on the train.
Okay, then for you, I say one final thing.
Butthole.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.